Hi.
Hello, Pallavi. How are you? Long time.
I'm
I
good,
tried
I'm
my
good.
best, but now I'm still restarting to get the interviews done. Yes,
No, all the best for that.
yes.
And how have you been?
So I've been traveling around, meeting UK people and then connecting Indian people to UK people, creating that corridor for India and UK. So kind of
Yeah.
becoming that one person people reach out to. So
Wow.
slowly meeting a lot of people. And then they have a lot of questions. So it keeps on having a conversation, making kind of a business model out of it. So everything is working in the right direction, but slowly. So yeah.
That's okay.
Yes.
I have been traveling myself all across, and there was this flight that I took. And there was a gentleman sitting next to me. He was explaining his journey of shifting from doing job to business. And I asked
Right.
him this question. I said, which one would you prefer now that you have experienced both? He said, entrepreneurship any day. But he said, if I can give one mantra to all the entrepreneurs, it'll
Right.
be that the only thing you need to be an entrepreneur is patience.
Correct.
And he
Correct.
said, since you're starting new, you will have one good day in the whole month. And
Right.
you need to have the same perseverance and patience to keep pushing, 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 pushing.
Right.
You will reach a point when it will be 10 good days in a month
Right.
where you can relax a little bit. Uh,
Correct.
that makes
Correct.
sense.
Right.
Mm.
So India is working fine for us. UK is now getting built. India is growing at a very stable pace. You will not call it like blitzkrieg play is speed, but simple, very simple,
Yeah,
normal, good. Teams are becoming better. Those kind of things, right?
yeah,
Yes, so
that's
let's
nice.
come back to you. Pleasure to have you, Pallavi, on the platform. And you have been an amazing startup coming out of India. It's not a startup at all, it is a movement mostly.
Correct.
It's more of a community mostly. It is more of a passion mostly, right? So, what you
That
actually do is you get India together from the side of fashion and handicrafts and art, and you are intrigued. Please tell me a little more about your product and what do you do?
So, I actually work with the artisans
Right,
across India. Currently, we're working in 7 different states. These are artisans who have been practicing what they have been doing as part of their traditional livelihood options.
right,
So, that's what it's been 10 years that I've been working with the artisans. The journey started with a simple mischief, basically. It was when I decided to bunk some of my classes when I was doing masters. And I thought that okay, I just heard that there's this professor who teaches very well, and it was across my classroom. So he was teaching the same subject, so I sat in his class, bunked mine. And in one of his classes, he said talked about the caste dynamics and the politics of clothing. So,
right,
what defines clothing, and who are these people who have been making clothes for us? That was just that moment which made me feel that, okay, now what is this? Because I came from a cosmopolitan background from Delhi. Later, I discovered a lot of things, but at that point, I never wondered what it is like to think of who makes our clothes and what is it that's been made with hand still at such a massive scale. So the last census that government did, they do a 5 yearly census. In 2019, they did a handloom census. And the census says that there are 25 lakh households, which is an underreporting.
right,
So now the fact that there is this livelihood opportunity present in the rural pockets of India, where most of the people are migrating into hazardous industries,
hmm,
here is a livelihood option which is dignified in the sense that you work from your house, you create things from hand, and some of the most exquisite things, we have the Japanese looking for our finest cottons. We have all the world coming to India to buy pashminas. And these aren't just fabric for them. The value of it is so much more, because this is something that I discovered later, that as part of India, what are the industries that are India's biggest strength and cannot be replicated by others.
Hmm.
So if we are to talk about one such industry per se, it's the industry of handlooms and handicraft.
Correct.
Because the scale at which handloom and handicraft exist in India, there is no other country. So what has happened in the West is that it's reduced to studio setup. Or for
Right.
example, in Japan, it's reduced to like making one of the finest handicraft, but again at a studio level.
Right.
It's only in India and the whole world that this scale of handloom and handicraft exists.
Hmm.
And what I discovered in this journey of last 10 years, where I have mostly lived in the village myself, um, the romanticism came from me being city girl, and then their life being simpler. But beyond looking at just the romanticizing part of living in the rural India, was also to understand that a lot of the values by which, and across different cultures, we are blessed to have such diversity in our culture.
Hmm.
The commonality and the common thread between across the clusters were practices that were extremely sustainable, environmentally, financially, by all means.
Hmm.
So it is because that part of our country generates such less waste that we can still afford to generate this massive amount of waste that we do
Hmm.
by the choices, everyday choices that we make. So so for me, it was an understanding which was multitude. It was one, a dignified source of livelihood, which doesn't require you to leave your environment and compromise it for an unsustainable livelihood opportunities.
Right.
But at the same time, it was also looking at the sheer craft that exists, the skill that exists.
Right.
There are horrific stories that I have also unraveled in these last 10 years where, such a skilled artisan is replaced as an unskilled labor working as a guard in people's homes, which is by unskilled, I mean it's a job that is easily replaceable.
Correct.
But tomorrow, if I'm asked to sit on the loom, I can't do that. Believe me, I've made some of the most horrendous woven fabrics. And that's because that's when you realize, okay, it's not just moving your hands here and there. It requires sheer amount of skill and patience in making what they do.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's the intrigue is born out of that vision.
Right.
Like, how do we take it forward?
Hmm. So
Yeah.
when you say intrigue as an elevator pitch, what is intrigue?
Intrigue is a movement of people
Right.
um, who are deliberately wanting to choose conscious clothing. So,
Right.
so that's what we are. And in that consciousness, bringing that consciousness in, are the elements of looking at environment sustainability, economic sustainability as a broader term. And that's what we are doing. Like, we are working with the artisan in the village, trying to reduce carbon emission, that
Hmm.
uh, and set ourselves up for an India's vision of net zero carbon by 2070. So
Hmm.
that's what we are, a movement, like you
Right.
described us.
Right.
We are saying that it's all of us
Correct.
and coming together.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So on this journey of yours, so one thing also comes in. So how is the livelihoods of, give me an example of a livelihood that you've impacted in a positive way.
So that's I'll give you one short example.
Hmm.
It was COVID 2020.
Right.
Very unpredictable scenario. And actually, post COVID, a lot of things have changed for the handloom handicraft sector. Many
Hmm.
people have left this livelihood because of the shake in the market.
Right.
Uh, what we at that point, and I was working as a collective, at that point in time, the problem that we were facing along with the artisans were these piled up stock inventories. Everybody
Hmm.
was so scared of picking up what they had ordered. Everybody stopped the orders. There were stacks of fabric, and we had artisans wanting to work to
Hmm.
run their livelihood. So, how do we sustain? So we started a campaign called Antaran Artisan Connect, and this was as part of Tata's when I was leading one of the clusters for them.
Right.
That campaign was something that we faced a lot of resistance to do, but precisely because the idea at which we were developing was that
Hmm.
uh, it was just a catalog on Google where people will see, find the numbers of the artisan and place an order calling the artisans. So the first
Hmm.
resistance was like, who will do so much of effort when we
Right.
have drop to cart options? And the second thing we made very clear to people that, this will not be delivered to you tomorrow. So there's no instant gratification. We don't know when we will deliver, but we will deliver it at some point.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Come as it may, the campaign became a massive success.
Hmm.
We did sales of 1 CR in 3 months.
Hmm.
And this was when everything was shut. All the brands had said that, we are closing ourselves off for a while because we don't know when we'll deliver the
Hmm.
product.
Right.
So that actually gave the sense of the power that collectivization has. So people came as collective, they bought ample and with understanding that they'll have to make that effort of calling the artisan.
Hmm.
Artisans got hundreds of customer details of like 300, 400 people who bought from them, and they
Hmm.
kept buying from them later after the campaign. But
Hmm.
the success of the campaign also implied that people do respect the fact that there is this whole community creating some fabulous designs. And you know what? We were initially asking artisans to put up only the cottons, the lower end of the spectrum.
Hmm.
But after the campaign started hitting, uh, there were people who ordered saris worth 40,000 rupees
Right.
just on a phone call.
And
So
there
the
was a
amount,
trust factor also, I believe, because you were talking to the
yeah,
direct
the
creator of it.
creator,
Yeah, yeah,
creator.
yeah.
And there came a point when there were so many rumors because it was Tata Trust program that, there are these fake people doing these fake things.
Hmm.
And then Mr. Tata stepped in and he did a Instagram post and a tweet saying that no, no, it's pretty authentic and these
Hmm.
are real artisans making the products.
Right.
But that campaign also was a booster for the artisans that,
Hmm.
what we create really has a market.
And it
And
also gives them empowerment in the sense that they also start becoming a self-sustaining business in themselves because they get the leads of people to reach to. So they can
yes,
always have a candid conversation also if they don't know business. Now they know the price. The first
yeah,
conversation has happened through you. Easier to
yeah,
rebuild the business with the same clientele.
correct.
Right.
So that's exactly what
Mm.
happened in the journey. And
Mm.
the artisans that I have personally worked
Hmm.
there is this boy, Chittaranjan, there's this artisan I still work with, Abir. The
Hmm.
first time I met Abir, this was in village in Odisha, and I was living there,
Right.
called Banda. I went to his house. His house is fully mud structure,
Hmm.
and he and his wife both weave. So Shobha Rani and Abir Pal are both weavers.
Hmm.
They were weaving for a master artisan, like the middleman. That's the structure that you find in all artisanal community, that there's a middleman, and they were weaving for him for a
Right.
pay of 5,000 rupees a month.
Right.
Now, these guys had a full capacity to do the tie and dye, to do all pre-processing of the loom themselves.
Right.
But they have and had ventured out couple of times in their lives to start something of their own, but every time there was a failure. Like they
Hmm.
were not able to sell their inventories and everything. This time, um, and this is my work precisely, I decided to make a brand out of their name and we called it Dali. So the
Called
concept
it.
of Dali,
Called it.
it
Sorry.
was called Dali.
Dali.
Dali, the
Interesting.
branch.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
the name came from the artisan, and the story of the name is interesting. He said, because we have fallen down so many times in our venture, wanting to do our own venture. Every time we resurrected and wanted to do it again. So
Hmm.
the idea of Dali branch is that you cut me off and then I'll try and grow myself again, and you cut me off and I'll grow myself.
Right.
So that's where
Right.
the brand name came from.
Right.
And last year I visited Abir. um, he has a stock of 10 lakh rupees of his own.
Right.
He does a turnover of about 30 lakhs annually.
Amazing.
Uh, his house is now fully like he has an AC in his house now.
Amazing.
So that
Amazing.
those stories. Similarly, for Chittaranjan was making agarbatti because he wanted to be an entrepreneur. He
Right.
was working as a sales staff in West Side Bhubaneswar,
Right.
and then he started with multiple ventures. It failed. He was making agarbatti, and his father himself was a very refined artisan, but
Hmm.
he lost his father very early.
Okay.
And the difficulty was that he saw what practicing craft did to his family,
Hmm.
which is not leaving them with enough money. So he decided to do every other venture except from weaving
Right.
and doing the banda, which they were very good at. But this is lots of conversation pushing him. His turnover right now is about 75 lakh annually. He's built his house, he's bought a land next door. The first thing that I had written an article about it then. The
Hmm.
first change that we saw when the money started coming was getting water purifier,
Right.
was getting things that helped her mother in the kitchen.
Correct.
So, how basic were these elements
Hmm.
that one would desire, like the desirability to have safe drinking water?
Hmm.
So, how do you then put up a water
So,
filter?
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
these
from
are
an
these
impact
are
point of view, this is on the game. It is actually creating the impact that is visible at a very quick pace as well. So it's not like the thing takes a long gestation period to show results.
it doesn't actually. That's what I feel like. We, for example, between the time that we started, we have done artisan payouts for 30 lakh rupees
Right.
just in the span of 1.5 years, and we are completely bootstrapped. There is no external funding that we have. These are efforts of ensuring that the artisan gets paid well, because my journey has been other way around. I didn't go as a designer wanting to work with them,
Hmm.
and I went by looking at seeing the impact that this community wants, the
Hmm.
desirability for what will hold an artisan to wanting to continue this.
Right.
Because I honestly, Arjun, I honestly feel that there is no harm in aspiring for not wanting to be an artisan. I
Right.
can totally understand that, because we have been families that have centuries ago broken out of their our traditional livelihood options, wanting to do something else and then excelling in that. So if an artisan's child does not want to be an artisan,
Hmm.
there are many layers into it.
Hmm.
If we look at it from an external lens, we'll be like, why not? It's a sustainable livelihood, this and that. But it's a perspective that we as city dwellers,
Right.
carry on their lives.
Correct.
But the shift that I have seen, it's
Hmm.
that it's not just it was not always about the fact that we are getting paid less as an artisan,
Hmm.
because some of the livelihood opportunities that people shifted. Like I worked in this village called Sirsila in Andhra, and there young weavers, all the young weavers would work in power loom and not handlooms, even though handlooms was paying much more. We were paying that time 16,000 rupees, and we had only artisans aged 70, 75, 80 working with us. None of the young people were working with us.
Hmm.
And the power loom work time was 12 hours. The other thing is that the amount of noise power loom generates,
Yeah.
it can create deafening effect.
Hmm.
And the payout was 12,500 rupees. So
Right.
I went into understanding what is it? Like, is it only about not getting paid enough that holds the artist? It's not always. I'm not
Right.
saying it's true. Not always. And the interesting part was that the sedentary lifestyle that you sit in your house and weave is not exciting for a young person. For
Right.
a young person to get dressed up and go to a shack and work there had an aspirational angle to it.
Right.
So, so see the fact that it's a multi-layered perspective that one has to develop.
Right.
What happened in Odisha with Chittaranjan, for example, is that the idea of becoming an entrepreneur himself was an exciting journey.
Right.
So that's what, like, there has to be an element of excitement for the young person, saying that
Hmm.
now he has 50 artisans working with him.
Right.
So the idea to become an entrepreneur
Yeah.
yourself, that
Yeah. Yeah.
freedom, that liberation, like,
Yes.
the journey of, like, if somebody were to call me a businesswoman
Yeah.
versus an entrepreneur, like
Right.
that word change itself is
Right.
going to bring so much
Joy
different
to you,
way
right? So
I'm
it's a yeah.
perceived, and my
Yeah.
journey has been,
Yeah.
respected. So
Yeah, yeah. And the effect of that is such a brilliant work that has happened. So if an artist comes onto your platform and he starts interacting with you, from the point he gets discovered to the point he starts becoming self-sustaining, what is the kind of average time that you have seen through Intrigue?
So with Intrique right now, we are working with the artisans that we have worked with over the last 10 years.
Yes.
But if I were to imagine a scenario in that case,
Right.
because we are wanting to work with younger crowd looking at.
Right.
So I think the self-sustaining part starts beginning from the first order itself, because we do
Hmm.
an outright pay in advance to
Right.
buy yarns and create the
Right.
product.
Right.
And then the second part is that it takes about 1.5 years to become like fully immersed in the journey and wanting to create.
Hmm.
But the perspective with Intrigue is that we don't want the artisan to become a background worker for us.
Hmm.
For us, it'll be like creating products for us and then connecting them with other buyers.
Right.
For example, I have worked in the last 1 year, I've worked with small time companies, which are producer companies based in the village itself. Now, I worked with them over designs, and then I also have helped them connect with markets directly to
Hmm.
take those design and venture, because
Right.
the idea, that's the change in perspective that Intrigue wants to. When it Intrigue
Correct.
calls itself a movement, it's also that, okay, Arjun wants X amount of fabric and these kinds, and we are creating these.
Right.
uh Design gives us the liberty that everybody can work in coexist in the space. Now,
Hmm.
the design that I am creating is going to be different from what you create. You
Correct.
know your market best, I know my market best. So we are not competing for that. As long
Correct.
as we are driven by the desire to make our independent designs. That's
Right.
how we work with artisans. We never say that you're going to only work for us, because that relationship itself is very binding.
Correct.
And that sort of helps the artisan to also expand much faster
Right.
than they can just weaving for us 365 days a year would not make them independent and entrepreneurial in true senses.
Correct.
So yeah, Intrigue will
So,
also
so when you
be
see, so sorry, so when you see intrigue, so I'm getting enthusiastic about your product. So when you see intrigue in the value chain, where does it sit for the customer? Is the you are the demand generation for the artisan, right? That is what the value chain is, right? And are you the payment collector for your orders in the value chain for the artisan, or does the payment directly go to the artisan?
and no,
They
we
pay you
collect
off.
payment because there is a split of almost 50-50% in the price point.
Right.
What we offer in the 50% is we do all the payments for the marketing support system that is
Correct.
required.
Correct.
And we are trying to build a leaner system. Like,
Hmm.
how do you reduce capital expenditure?
Hmm.
Because that is one of the big reason why artisanal products are extremely expensive for people.
Hmm.
Not that they shouldn't be, they should definitely be basis the kind of work that has gone into making them.
Hmm.
But the idea here is to also look at how do you keep the product aspirational as well as on the lens of affordability, affordable for the customers.
Right.
So we create our designs with the artisans,
Hmm.
co-create them. They work on the designs. We take them to the market. The money comes to us,
Hmm.
and we work in two ways. One is if there are 50 part investment, like half investment is done by the artisan, because that's also one model we are exploring. That
Hmm.
the artisan consider us a platform that they create their wonky designs and give it to us and we
Hmm.
sell
Hmm.
them.
Hmm. Hmm.
In that case, we do post sales payment. But in case the artisans are small in capacity, we do advance payments before the product is even put into production
Right.
for them, because the key part of this supply chain is to understand that there are such small scale of artisans
Hmm.
who can't even procure yarn, which is why
Yeah.
they are in the middleman cycle. The
Right.
middleman provides them with the yarn, they do their labor and give the product, and
Hmm.
the headache is of the middleman to sell.
Right.
Now, here in this journey, we have to do advance payments before anything goes on to the loom, which is for the model is for small scale artisans.
Right. So you
Yeah.
are cash positive, you are profitable.
So far we are just breaking even.
Okay, so how
uh,
many years has it
uh,
been?
it's been actually we started just last year
So
in
you started
September.
last year and you've been growing with the break even achieved
Yes,
milestone, right? So you have
yes,
been growing from the supply side and
yes,
as well as the demand side. So you both sides
yes,
growing as well, and then you're maintaining
correct.
break even currently.
Break even currently. That's what. So
Right.
whatever surplus we get, we spend it again into expanding our range of products that we are offering. And so far we have been focusing on offline sales, but
Mm-hmm.
the idea for future is to also expand online sales.
Mm-hmm.
But for online sales, it's a very cluttered space. How do you talk, have conversations? So one thing as part of making Intrigue as a movement has been the conversation part, which is where, like for example, we do home-based edit, and one of the home-based edit, we did an event called Sari Story Swap, and we
Right.
call upon women, and they were wearing their best of their saris.
Hmm.
So we did a swapping stories like what would what would be a funky name you give your sari, and we came up with some people came up with some really crazy names like Jamun and this and that, and what has been their stories, and the stories are so moving.
Right.
So that's where you feel like it's a heritage that you carry on, like,
Correct.
like you would
The
remember your grandmother wearing.
I would say the royalty of India
Yeah.
is these things that have been lost because of narrative from countries which have come in and then destroyed the narrative that was actually
Yeah.
the narrative, right?
Yeah.
That narrative is the wealth. and nobody understands the narrative is the wealth. That is what
Yeah.
everyone else is creating. Why is not India creating the same narrative? Uh,
Yeah.
there are a number of
And we are
problems in a
so rich
number
in
of
it.
countries. Every
Yeah, we are
country has their
so
own.
rich in it.
Yeah, yeah. And this is
Like the
not
fact
only
that,
clothes. This is a
yeah,
number of things. Yeah,
the fact that you have been sitting on shellac, for example.
correct.
India produces maximum amount of shellac for the world.
Hmm.
Now you will have different wonky names for that color. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
And shellac grows on the tree. And I was staying with the Khasi community, tribal community in Meghalaya,
Hmm.
their homes, and that's a story I've actually written also myself. I'll share it with you, but it's on Intrique's website. So
Right.
the artisans are walking up to the tree, dusting off cochineal lac, putting it up together, pounding it, and creating one of the exquisite red color out of it,
Hmm.
and weaving it. So
Right.
tell me, like, and they will have their own name for the product, like,
Right.
the local community will have. And
Hmm.
you will have lakh being used in multiple forms,
Correct.
right, in India. So these are those small, very, very small stories, and they are the true strength of what our country has to offer to the world, and
Right.
why we should be looked up to
Right.
for having retained these.
Hmm.
We have actually retained, because, for example,
The
Ajrak
happy
block
part
print.
is that whatever is the story of India, these things are still, we are able to talk about them.
That
I have
exactly.
heard
And
about these
it's
stories getting lost
crazy.
in many other countries' stories, right? So there is no
Like, for
lack.
example,
So if you think, just let's
yeah.
talk about it. So if you think US, right?
Yeah.
US, the United States must have got some amazing traditional art coming out of the originals or natives of that country and those things.
Yeah.
But there is nothing that comes out as a history of America, right?
Because it's lost.
It's lost. It's actually lost. Nobody's talking about it as well. It is not in the narrative as well. We are so lucky that we still are talking about these
We
things and
still
people
are
are going to the tree to take out the lac,
to
right?
collect lac and use it in their clothes and wear it. So they wear something called jensem, which is their traditional dress, the
Right,
Khasi tribes.
right,
And they pay 15,000 rupees to buy it.
right. They themselves
That's where
make that.
you really understand that the price number
Hmm.
is actually the value you're wanting to give.
Correct. And this
So
is
you
their
don't
value because they're
negotiate.
used to it.
Yeah, and you value it like that. Like, you will never negotiate buying an Unutsuka tiger shoe for 12,000 rupees, because you're like, okay, I value it that much.
Right,
It costs that much to make it. And
right,
if
right,
I'm wearing it, it'll come across as that. And
right,
same has to be the same perspective for craft.
right.
Like, you need to sit on a loom 10 minutes and figure it out, that, dude, it is not a simple task. So if somebody is doing it,
So
we
there is
need to.
one recent conversation I had. So one friend of a friend is a fashion designer and a label of her own in Leh, Ladakh, right?
Okay.
She has been struggling to just make funding for a fashion show happen in the UK, just for a
Mhm.
fashion show happening in the UK in a creative way in a location. She does not know how to get the funding right now. She is fully prepared. So, what you are helping is with the people who are actually your financially inclusive action also is happening, right? So, you're picking up the society as well. For other people have started also talking about the handicrafts and the local who can afford things, right, are now also doing the same story narrative of building the Indian handicrafts and those things, right? So if you want to get connected with her, I'll just connect to you both, right? It's
Please
easy
do. I would
because,
love
yeah.
to.
So I will connect you with her. She's based out of Leh. She has a problem of it is a seasonal work that she can do because
Yeah.
obviously the temperature and everything. So the whole thing adds on to the market, right? So demand and supply. Now,
Right.
this is not only the people who are, it is not only a movement that you have made, which is only about financial inclusion. It is also about picking up the narrative of India.
That's true.
Right.
Because without stories, it's
Hmm.
just any other piece of cloth.
Right.
For example, I was telling you that Mohenjo-daro's when it was dug up, what his idol was wearing was an ajrak fabric. Now, if we
Right.
trace back ajrak, which is one of the hand block printing practices in Kutch, Gujarat, and of course Sindh in Pakistan, they still continue.
Hmm.
You trace back the history of the craft, the
Hmm.
practicing craft, and you're
Hmm.
like, it's 5,000 years old that we know of.
Right.
Now, something that has sustained 5,000 years and is still rampant. Like
Right.
people are going and picking it up.
Right.
Unless you don't know the backstory of it,
Right.
it's just another piece of cloth which suits
Right.
your eye. The
Right.
moment you know it's a story, where did the name Ajrak came from? Who
Right.
are these communities that have been making? What are the, and it's all natural dyes. So what are the dyes? Where is the extraction? They have started growing indigo plants in Ajrakpur, near Ajrakpur locally for
Hmm.
extraction of one of the dyes, which was, which made Brits
Hmm.
rich and richer. That's one dye, indigo.
Yeah.
So the history of indigo itself in India, and we have the fabric right on our shelves in all the cities that we are living in.
Hmm.
Unless we don't know the story that grounds us, it's
Hmm.
just a piece of cloth. So that's
Right.
that's one effort that bestows upon all of us to push it. Like I'm wearing an indigo taboo,
Right.
for example. But unless I don't tell
Right.
you where it's coming from and why it is looking the way it is looking, it's just a piece of cloth that you appreciate.
So, how do you see your future in the next day? So, what is your dreamscape? So, what is your moonshot? What is your dream? How you look at Intrigue in the next 1 to 2 years, right?
I think
3 years actually. So, 3 years. Take a 3 year look out and just see how do you see Intrigue.
so for vision of intrigue, the first thing that I envision is having a lot more people. Like I would have like some XYZ sitting in place of me and talking about textiles and the love of it and the creator and acknowledging what they have been doing. Because as part of building movements would be to have intrigue in every nook and corner, an
Right,
intrigue ambassador in every nook and corner, talking to people,
right.
spreading the message of creation and artisanal creation within India and the value it carries. And it goes beyond myself and it spreads. So if I am doing it alone today, it would be lovely to have another 20 people do it with me for the next 2 years. And then that 20 become 40, 40 become 80. And the sustainability of the business will come in from the movement, from looking at not just myself, but these ambassadors spread all across India, talking about textiles, selling the best of textiles, understanding how do you identify. You can't really identify like a
So, are
power
you
loom.
becoming a platform for the enablers of Indian
Oh,
handicraft
yes.
as
Oh,
well?
most definitely.
Right,
Because for me, I have been wanting to join somebody in this movement. And
right.
my journey of becoming an entrepreneur starts from there that, okay, what I didn't find, maybe it does exist in small corners, and I have not been able to reach out to such people.
Hmm.
The good thing would be to collectivize ourselves, like connecting with the person that you are saying, working with lay, with the artisans,
Right.
connecting. And I think in this collaborated effort only lies the spirit of what we are wanting to do. Because imagine the scale of artisanal craft that exists in India still,
Hmm.
despite us
Hmm.
using a lot of it,
And we're
we
not
still
talking
have
about
such
actually, this
great.
is the tip of the iceberg. We've not looked at the whole thing. Actually, there's a lot
It's
of things that are
literally
not even talked about in our mind also. We have also not discovered them. A lot of times I go to this
exactly.
Bahadurgarh place where one
Hmm.
person took me for a ashram which is for national awardee artists. One guy is
Yeah, you
it's
were
an
telling me.
ashram for them, right? I
Correct.
went in and there was such amazing things that I have never seen. I have not gone to a Sundarnagar antique shop like a normal person who is
Hmm.
buying actually. I
Hmm.
have not looked at what they are putting in those shops, which are just waiting for one customer to come in 1 year and sell them a big thing, right? Uh, so we
And there are
don't even
customers
know
who would
actually
love
still.
to. So
Yeah,
that's exactly like
yeah,
for this massive scale of Indian handloom handicraft that exists, as many people as wanting to sell are not good enough. So it's better to have more
yeah,
the merrier.
yeah.
Because with textiles, it's exactly like how it is with food and language in India. It changes every 1 kilometer you see. And my journey in the last 10 years is also discovering that the clothing that each local
Mm,
place was making
mm.
also had a lot of functionality attached to it.
Correct.
It
Because
took
in
into
their environments, it was
consideration,
evolved to that
yeah,
point. Yeah.
yeah, so for example, I'm wearing a Bengal cotton, and the
Right.
finest of Bengal cottons came from Bengal. You need to understand the topography of that area.
Right.
Like I can't put a Bengal cotton in Kanchipuram, for example.
Right.
The finest, the temperature that is required, the moisture that is required for you
Mm,
to weave a fine cotton,
mm,
and how that area has that kind of moisture and the environment and everything.
mm.
And even the people, for example, who are consuming these
So
locally.
are you making a directory of all these handicrafts which
There are
becomes a
some
booklet that
brilliant
you can make
works.
and the region how a buyer can buy it? So for example, I was
I
looking at
would
the
I
booklet.
would actually I would actually recommend from right away, like giving a list of books that I look up to.
Right.
There are and there have been academicians who have done a
Mm,
brilliant job capturing. So, for
mm,
example, Handmade in India by Aditi Ranjan.
mm.
So NIT did a whole documentation of crafts of India. Now there is Jaya Jaitley,
Interesting.
Craft Atlas of India.
Mm,
Capturing all of this. So whoever is interested and is listening to this podcast right now, just go to these books, and that's your first source of inspiration. In
right.
fact, Dastakar Heart Samiti create these beautiful craft maps for each state.
Right.
So you have each state being hand drawn, and the map exists
Right.
of different crafts that's
Right.
practiced there,
Right.
and the different communities that are making. So
Mm,
I think for us to refer to say a Judy Freitas book on Artisan by Design.
mm,
So these are our anthologies that
mm.
can guide us in this direction.
Right.
And pick your copy, everybody just
Mm.
dig into it and relish.
Right.
So
So you
yeah.
have many layers that you can work on. You have a dreamscape that can actually now is the right time to do it. A lot of brands in the world have started giving credit to Indian artisans as well on ramps as well. You just
Yeah.
heard a month back somebody was forced to put their I will say forced to to put all their fashion
Postal.
things to
We all know.
paid back and credit the people who made it, right? So
Yeah.
Dior did that, you know
Yeah.
it, right? So these are things
Your
now that we should
Prada,
also. So
Kolhapuri
one more
chappals.
ecosystem thing that should come in is like Intrigue should become that enabler that you could be, for example, you could be the person who takes them to a ramp in the best places in the world, right? And you
Yeah.
make them see what wealth looks like, what buyers look like, what are the competitions that we ran, and 10 of them reach the ramp, right? That kind of a place where intrigue becomes that enabler as well. Because then what happens is
It
the change happens in
would
a
be a
way that
delight.
nobody can lie in other countries and say, this is my design. right? These
Yeah,
narratives have to also
absolutely.
change, which we are
And
very happy to see if somebody can put that dream in their box, right? So basically, looking at your product, which is the larger audience to get handicrafts in, so what are you concentrated on? Only handlooms and fabrics, right? Fashion. Yes,
yeah,
currently,
right
yes.
now we are only looking at handlooms,
Handloom. Yes.
as yeah, handlooms as wearable um pieces of art and
Hmm.
textiles.
Hmm.
The obvious expansion would be to look at handlooms itself, but in as part of home furnishing, as part of curtains, as part of cushion covers, bed sheets, bedspread. And this actually aligns with our overall idea that craft is not something that you buy for the gesture of it, like,
Hmm.
something as a decorative pieces, but it's actually meant for an everyday consumption. So
Right.
we won't be like a hand-woven Banarasi sari that I will wear once in 3 years.
Hmm.
We will also be a cotton that we wear every day, with an ease of the fabric, the natural fiber that cotton is. So looking at how craft is integrated in our everyday life. For
Right.
that, we have to look at everyday life based, lifestyle based products. So
Yeah.
it's a shift of perspective and of lifestyle. So
Right.
that's where
So
we are
basically,
heading.
India lifestyle and India every day, right?
India
That's
every day.
two
Yeah,
things that you will focus on, build the product on, right? Yeah. So
correct.
amazing, amazing. So what is your ask from the market? What is your ask from the audience? Yes.
I think the first thing that I would ask the audience is to develop a little bit of awareness and just a thought of what we
Hmm.
are consuming,
Hmm.
and spend 2 minutes to understand the cycle of it. So I
Hmm.
feel I feel that one thing that India carries and can capitalize on is a built-in empathy in ourselves
Hmm.
as humans. So I
Right.
feel like it will be good to ask, like, if we are buying cheaper products as a consume and throw away options, where is it ending? Is it ending up in a landfill next to you and stinching and,
Hmm.
rotting for thousands of years?
Right.
Or is it something that a simple switch to, for example, disposable fibers, all form of natural fibers,
Right.
your cottons, your linens, your silks, natural silks that are being produced, these are easy disposable options. In you
So
can
from
you
the
can
buyer
experiment.
side, so let's get back to the buyer side. Okay, so from the
Yeah.
buyer side, I would be your ambassador, and I'll ask you the point that from the buyer side, you want them to uh, choose you as the channel to know
Uh,
what India makes, right?
correct. Yeah.
And from the supplier side, you want more and more ecosystem players to join you.
Yeah.
Correct. As much as possible, you want the whole of India to come to you and say, I am here, let's do it together, right? So you want
Let's
to
do it
become a
together.
collective, right?
Absolutely.
So that is what your amazing ask would be. And I think that is the best ask that you can ask for right now. Everything else will be a narrative that the ambassadors will
All in
build, right?
correct. Yeah.
Right. And so when you say resilience, so I always ask this question to everyone. Resilience has always been something that every entrepreneur who is doing their work, either bootstrapped or working with an investor, resilience has been that challenge that they have always worked on. Right. So, what is your ups? How do you define resilience for yourself, looking at the journey that you've had?
I think the acceptance of failures as just another part of the whole journey, the
Right.
ability to see failures as, okay, this is not something that should bog down what you're doing.
Right.
It's not always that you are on the wrong track, which is why you're failing. It's
Right.
just that you may not be able to channelize your directions, which is why you're failing.
Right.
So I feel that the ability to accept failures as yet another part of the journey.
Right.
and to learn from it. So for me, the journey is to detach myself
Right.
emotionally
Right.
from a failure. For
Right.
example, if I plan to do a show somewhere and it didn't work out well, my ability to detach and see that, okay, what is it that didn't work well?
Right.
As opposed to thinking that, okay, now I'm heartbroken, nothing in my life is working. I
Correct. So
think that,
yesterday, so I'll add to this. So yesterday I was in
yeah,
a conference where one Mr. Dr. Raj Ratan, right?
yeah,
He's a dentist slash dento legal in the UK. So he was giving the right, he made it structured, what you are saying right now. So he said,
yeah,
concentrate on the product that you love or the work that you do, right? Then
mhm,
be happy. Simple.
yeah,
Then be happy.
yeah,
And once you're happy,
yeah,
wealth will make itself
yeah,
available to you. You will not think of
correct,
product, wealth, and happiness. This is not the way happiness is achieved. Product,
right,
happiness, and then wealth. If you do that, you will always be on the path which you have chosen, and you will always be asking for happiness from that product, and you will always be on the path
yeah,
of creating that change for everyone. Right? So his line
yeah,
just
that's true.
resonated with you.
Absolutely.
Right?
I think that that's that's been my learning as an entrepreneur,
Yeah, yeah.
that the chronology of it is exactly how he defined, that
Yes.
one has to, so for us the gratification comes from doing something that we love
Correct.
first and foremost.
Correct.
It's not numbers, and everything will fall, of course, and there
Correct.
is an up and down in the numbers.
Right.
Some, you have good days and you have bad days, but what keeps you going is that you're not externalizing that satisfaction from doing
But
something
his
else.
perspective was to the game. So there was one positive also in
Yeah.
his perspective. And he said, no, see, happiness and wealth will go hand in hand. But you have
Mm.
to aim for wealth in the end, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You
I
have to be happy and
absolutely
aim
agree
for
that
wealth
balance
in
is,
the end. So when you're happy and you have the skill, one day you will have,
yeah,
you will be able to develop it as a skill. Once it becomes a
correct.
skill, then
Mm.
happiness first, and then this keeps you aware that the ups and downs of it, the way you defined, will keep
Yeah,
you just moving forward, and you will just keep your cycle moving forward and not stopping at one point and
correct,
saying, I'm losing balance, right? So, happiness is the balance of moving forward.
correct, correct,
Right, 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 right. Awesome,
correct.
Pallavi. It was a pleasure meeting you. And we will be
It
sharing
was,
your
it was
podcast
a
on all the
pleasure talking
channels
to
we
you.
do. And you will see it on LinkedIn, you will see on
Thank you so
YouTube.
much.
And we ask our audience
Thank you so much.
to fulfill her wishes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you so
Pallavi.
much.
Thanks. Thanks,
All
Pallavi.
the best. All the best.
Pleasure. All the best to you as
Yeah.
well.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.